Admiral Vex Terry stood before the massive holographic display aboard the Galactic Coalition flagship Eternal Dawn, his four eyes fixed on the anomalous reading that had appeared at the edge of Coalition space. The signal defied everything they knew about deep space communications. It was too precise, too powerful, and most disturbingly, it bore the unmistakable signature of human quantum technology. "Impossible," he whispered, his scaled fingers tracing the signal's trajectory. Humanity had vanished from the galaxy 3 centuries ago, taking their advanced technology with them. Their disappearance had left a power vacuum that the Coalition had struggled to fill, even after all these years. First Officer Calera, a crystalline being from the Arcturian systems, approached with a data crystal in her translucent hands. "Admiral, we've completed the analysis. The signal, it's genuine. Human quantum signatures, military-grade encryption. But there's more." The Admiral turned to face his second-in-command, noting the unusual resonance in her crystalline form, a sign of deep concern among her species. "Show me." The holographic display shifted, revealing a massive object hidden in the darkness between stars. Its shape was unmistakable to anyone who had studied the ancient records. A human supercarrier, over 20 kilometers in length. The Hyperion, flagship of humanity's deep space fleet, fought lost with all hands during the Great Disappearance. By the first light, Vex Terry breathed. "How long has it been out there?" "Temporal readings suggest it's been adrift for exactly 300 years, Clara responded. "But Admiral, the energy signatures, they're active. The ship isn't dead." The revelation sent a shiver through Vex Terry's scales. The Hyperion had been more than just a warship. It had been humanity's crowning achievement, a mobile city-state capable of sustaining millions. Its disappearance, along with the rest of humanity's fleet, had marked the beginning of their species' exodus from known space. "Prepare a first contact team," Vex Terry ordered, "and alert the Council. If the Hyperion has returned, we need to know why." Hours later, aboard a specially equipped research vessel, Vex Terry led a small team toward the massive silhouette of the human supercarrier. As they drew closer, the true scale of the vessel became apparent. It dwarfed their ship like a whale beside a minnow. Dr. Zena, the team's xenorchaeologist, couldn't contain her excitement. Her tentacles writhed with academic fervor as she studied the readings. "The preservation is remarkable. Look at the hull, not a scratch. The automated maintenance systems must still be functioning." "That's what worries me," Security Chief Rax growled, his cybernetic eye scanning for threats. 300 years is a long time for an AI to be alone. Who knows what's going on in its neural networks? As if in response to his words, a beam of light suddenly emanated from the Hyperion, scanning their vessel from bow to stern. Everyone held their breath, waiting for a response. "Attention Coalition vessel," a calm, feminine voice transmitted on all frequencies. "This is AI, Artificial Reasoning Intelligence Assistant of the TFS Hyperion. Please state your intentions." Vex Terry stepped forward. "This is Admiral Vex Terry of the Galactic Coalition. We're responding to your signal, AI. We come in peace and seek to understand your presence here." There was a pause, longer than necessary for any normal communication delay. "Admiral," ARIF finally responded, "my protocols require me to inform you that this ship contains classified human military technology. However, given the time that has passed, I am authorized to make certain exceptions. You may dock in Bay 94. Please limit your boarding party to 5 individuals." As their ship maneuvered toward the designated bay, Vex Terry couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched by more than just the AI. The Hyperion's massive hull seemed to pulse with hidden energy, like a sleeping giant about to awaken. The docking procedure was automated, their ship guided by invisible hands into a cavernous bay that could have housed a small fleet. As the team prepared to disembark, Dr. Zena's instruments began registering unusual readings. "Admiral," she called out, her tentacles twitching nervously, "I'm detecting multiple stasis fields throughout the ship. thousands of them. And they're active. Before Vexteri could respond, the ship's eye spoke again, this time with a note of what could only be described as pride. "Welcome aboard the Hyperion, Admiral. I think it's time humanity's children came home. They've slept long enough." The words hung in the air like a physical presence, and Vexteri realized that this wasn't just a discovery of a lost ship. It was the beginning of humanity's return. The question was, had they come back as friends, or as something else entirely? Looking out at the vast interior of the carrier, Vexteri knew that within hours, the news would spread throughout Coalition space. Humanity, the species that had helped forge the first interstellar alliances, that had pushed the boundaries of what was possible, that had vanished without a trace, had finally returned. And judging by the size and power of the Hyperion, they had spent their time away preparing for something big. The corridors of the Hyperion stretched endlessly before them, pristine and well-maintained despite centuries of isolation. Admiral Vexteri led his small team through the massive vessel, their footsteps echoing in the artificial gravity. Dr. Zenith's scanning equipment hummed continuously, mapping every centimeter of their journey, while Security Chief Rax kept his weapon lowered but ready. "The engineering principles here are extraordinary," Clara observed, her crystalline form reflecting the soft blue emergency lighting. "Look at these power conduits. They're still operating at peak efficiency after 300 years. Araya's voice emerged from hidden speakers, accompanying them like an unseen guide. "The Hyperion was designed to operate independently for millennia if necessary. However, I suspect you're more interested in my passengers than my maintenance systems." "Your passengers," Vexteri repeated carefully. "How many humans are in stasis aboard this vessel?" "The Hyperion currently maintains 1.2 million colonists in temporal stasis," Araya replied. "They represent humanity's finest. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, artists, everything needed to rebuild civilization. But they are only the first." The team stopped at a massive viewport, and Araya activated the external illumination. In the darkness of space, massive shapes began to appear. More ships, dozens of them, their forms previously hidden by advanced stealth technology. "By the void," Rax whispered, his cybernetic eye whirring as it tried to process the scale of what they were seeing. "It's an entire fleet." "The Exodus fleet," Araya confirmed. 47 colony ships, each carrying between 1 and 2 million humans in stasis. The Hyperion serves as their guardian and guide. Dr. Zenith's tentacles coiled tightly in excitement. "This explains everything. Why they disappeared, why they took their technology. They weren't running away. They were preserving themselves. But why? What were they protecting themselves from?" The lights in the corridor flickered momentarily, and Araya's voice took on a more serious tone. "That information is classified until the human leadership awakens. However, I am authorized to begin the revival process for a small diplomatic team. Would you like to meet them?" Vexteri exchanged glances with his team before nodding. "Yes, we would." Araya guided them to a massive chamber deep within the ship. Rows of stasis pods lined the walls, each containing a sleeping human. In the center of the room, 5 pods began to glow with increasing intensity. "Revival sequence initiated," Araya announced. "Please stand clear of the designated area. The process will take approximately 20 minutes." As they watched, the pods began to open with a soft hiss of equalizing pressure. Inside, human forms stirred for the first time in centuries. The first to emerge was a tall woman with silver-streaked dark hair, her movements precise despite her long sleep. "Ambassador Sarah Chen," Araya introduced, chief diplomat of the Exodus fleet. The ambassador opened her eyes, taking in the alien delegation with remarkable composure. "Welcome aboard the Hyperion," she said, her voice slightly hoarse from disuse. "I trust Aria has been a good host." "She has," Vexteri confirmed, "though we have many questions." "As do we," Chen replied, helping another human from their pod. A broad-shouldered man introduced as General Marcus Santos. 300 years. The galaxy must have changed significantly. Why? Clara asked suddenly. Why did humanity leave? Why maintain such secrecy? The remaining humans were emerging now. Dr. Diana Wright, a quantum physicist, Commander Kai Patel, the Hyperion's captain, and Dr. James Morrison, a xenobiologist. They gathered around Ambassador Chen, who seemed to be weighing her words carefully. We left because we discovered something, she finally said. Something that threatened not just humanity, but all sentient life. We needed time. Time to prepare, to build, to advance our technology beyond what anyone thought possible. And now, she was interrupted by a sudden alarm. Aria's voice carried an urgent tone. Ambassador, we're detecting quantum disturbances at the edge of the system. The patterns matched those from the incident. The humans exchanged knowing looks, their expressions grim. General Santos stepped forward. How long until they arrive? 48 hours, Aria responded. They found us sooner than expected. Ambassador Chen turned to Vexteri, her eyes intense. Admiral, we're about to show you why humanity really disappeared. But first, we need your help. The Coalition must be prepared for what's coming, what we've spent 3 centuries preparing to fight. The Admiral looked at the awakened humans, then at the fleet of ships still hidden in the darkness of space. Whatever humanity had been preparing for, whatever had driven them to such extreme measures, was about to reveal itself. The Coalition will hear you out, he promised. But we need to know everything. Chen nodded to Aria, and suddenly the chamber's walls transformed into a massive holographic display. What they saw there, images of an enemy so terrifying it had driven humanity into hiding, made even the battle-hardened Rack step back in shock. This, Chen said quietly, is what we've been preparing to fight. And in 48 hours, they'll be here. The holographic display filled the chamber with images that defied comprehension. Vast, geometrically impossible structures moved through space, warping reality around them. They weren't ships in any conventional sense. They were tiers in the fabric of space-time itself, each one large enough to swallow solar systems whole. We call them the Void Architects, Ambassador Chen explained, her voice steady despite the horror she was describing. They don't invade spaces, they reshape them. They don't conquer worlds, they'd rewrite them according to physics we can't comprehend. Admiral Vexteri watched as one of these entities consumed an entire star system in the recording, leaving behind something that hurt his eyes to look at. When did you first encounter them? 312 years ago, General Santos answered, stepping closer to the display. They appeared at the edge of human space, consuming colony after colony, not through violence, but through transformation. Everything they touched became something else, something wrong. We couldn't fight them. How do you fight an enemy that can change the rules of reality itself? Dr. Wright, the quantum physicist, brought up a new set of displays showing complex equations, but we could understand them. Every change they made to our space left traces, patterns we could study. We realized they weren't gods or monsters. They were engineers on a cosmic scale, reshaping the universe to match their own alien physics. So you ran, Clara observed, her crystalline form resonating with the energy patterns in the display. No, Commander Patel corrected, a fierce pride in his voice. We evolved. The Exodus wasn't a retreat, it was preparation for a counterattack. Aria's voice joined the conversation as new holographic displays appeared, showing the internal systems of the Hyperion and its sister ships. Human scientists discovered that the Void Architect's reality warping abilities could be countered by creating localized areas of quantum-locked spacetime. The technology was crude at first, but 3 centuries of development. The displays shifted to show the Hyperion's true nature. What had appeared to be a simple supercarrier was actually something far more sophisticated. The entire hull was lined with quantum stabilization fields, designed to maintain normal spacetime against reality warping attacks. But it was more than defensive. The ship itself was a weapon unlike anything the Coalition had ever seen. The Hyperion and its sister ships are reality anchors, Dr. Wright explained. They can create and maintain zones of stable space-time, preventing the Void Architects from rewriting the laws of physics. But more importantly, they can project these fields offensively. Dr. Zena's tentacles writhed with scientific excitement. You're going to force them to play by our rules. Exactly, Ambassador Chen confirmed. But we need the Coalition's help. The Void Architects are returning, and this time they're not just targeting human space. They're coming for everyone. A new alarm sounded, and Aria's voice carried a note of urgency. Ambassador, the quantum disturbances are intensifying. Time to arrival has been revised. 36 hours. General Santos immediately moved to a command console. Aria, begin Revival Protocol Alpha. Wake the defense crews first, then the scientific teams. Ambassador Chen, we need the Coalition's answer now. Admiral Vexteri stood straighter, his 4 eyes fixed on the humans before him. In 3 centuries, while the rest of the galaxy had thought them gone, humanity had been preparing for this moment. They hadn't fled in fear. They had withdrawn to protect everyone, to build weapons capable of fighting an enemy that defied the laws of physics itself. The Coalition will stand with you, he declared, but we'll need to coordinate our forces quickly. Our ships aren't equipped with your quantum technology. Ambassador Chen smiled. Actually, we planned for that too. Aria, show them Project Unity. The holographic display shifted one final time, revealing detailed schematics for quantum stabilization devices designed to be fitted to Coalition ships. The humans had spent their exile not only preparing their own defenses, but developing ways to protect their former allies as well. We have enough units to outfit the entire Coalition defense fleet, Commander Patel explained. They're already fabricated and ready for installation. We just need your permission to proceed. Throughout the Hyperion, stasis pods were opening as more humans awoke from their centuries-long sleep. Engineers, scientists, and soldiers emerged, immediately moving to their stations as if they had never left them. The ship hummed with increasing power as systems dormant for 3 centuries came fully online. Dr. Morrison, who had been quietly analyzing data at a console, looked up with concern. The quantum disturbances, they're forming a pattern we haven't seen before. They're not just coming to feed. They're coming to transform this entire sector of space permanently. Ambassador Chen's expression hardened. Then we'll give them a fight they won't expect. Humanity didn't spend 3 centuries hiding. We spent it preparing for this moment. And we brought friends. As if in response to her words, space itself seemed to ripple around the Hyperion. More ships began to appear, not just the colony vessels they'd seen before, but an entire battle fleet that had been hidden in quantum storage. Humanity had built an armada unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, and they were ready to use it. Admiral, Chen said, turning to Vexteri, I suggest you contact the Coalition Council. Tell them that humanity has returned, and we've brought the weapons to save reality itself. The real question is, are they ready to help us use them? The Coalition fleet arrived in waves, hundreds of ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel into the space around the Hyperion. Their crews watched in amazement as human engineers, transported by short-range quantum tunnels, began installing the stabilization devices on their vessels. What would normally have taken weeks was accomplished in hours, thanks to technology that had been refined over centuries. Admiral Vexteri stood on the Hyperion's main bridge, now fully activated and humming with power. Around him, humans and Coalition officers worked together, coordinating the massive defense fleet that was taking shape. The bridge itself was a marvel of engineering, with holographic displays showing real-time data from thousands of sensors across multiple dimensions. Final fleet count, Aria announced. 712 Coalition vessels, now equipped with quantum stabilization fields. 423 human warships, including 32 reality anchor vessels. Total combat strength exceeds anything previously assembled in known space. Ambassador Chen nodded in satisfaction, but General Santos looked less convinced. It won't be enough if we can't coordinate effectively. Run the neural sync diagnostic. Throughout the fleet, crews discovered that their ship's new quantum stabilizers came with an unexpected feature. The devices created a form of quantum entanglement between vessels, allowing for instantaneous communication and coordination across the entire fleet. It was another example of how humanity had spent their exile planning for every contingency. 24 hours to contact. Dr. Wright reported from her station, where complex quantum calculations swirled through the air around her. The good news is we've identified their entry point. The bad news, it's bigger than anything we've seen in our simulations. The holographic display showed the approaching quantum disturbance. It looked like a wound in space itself, a tear in reality that stretched across multiple star systems. Inside it, shapes moved that defied description, geometries that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. Commander Patil activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is Hyperion Actual. Begin formation Delta 7. Reality anchor vessels, prepare to establish the containment grid. Remember your training. Maintain position inside the quantum stable zones at all times. As the fleet moved into position, Dr. Morrison approached Admiral Vexteri with a concerned expression. Admiral, there's something you need to see. We've been analyzing the Void Architect's approach vector. They're not just coming from one direction. They're creating a multi-dimensional enclosure. They're trying to box us in. The Admiral's scales rippled with concern. They remember their last encounter with humanity. They're adapting their tactics. Yes, Ambassador Chen agreed, but so have we. General Santos, show them Operation Lightbringer. The general activated a new set of controls, and throughout the fleet, secondary systems began to power up. The quantum stabilizers weren't just defensive tools. They could be used to project fields of stable spacetime into the Void Architect's domain, potentially turning their own reality warping abilities against them. 18 hours to contact. Array updated. Beginning final system checks. In the space around the fleet, reality itself seemed to shiver. The Void Architect's approach was causing increasing distortions in normal spacetime, creating visual effects that strained the sanity of anyone who looked at them too long. But inside the fleet's formation, protected by hundreds of quantum stabilizers working in concert, space remained clear and normal. They're trying to communicate, Dr. Wright suddenly announced, her instruments detecting patterns in the quantum distortions. It's like they're surprised. They didn't expect to find this level of resistance. Ambassador Chen's expression hardened. Open a channel. Let's show them humanity didn't spend 3 centuries doing nothing. Through the quantum network linking the fleet, a message was broadcast, not in words or conventional signals, but in precisely controlled quantum states that the Void Architects would understand. It was a warning, a declaration, and an ultimatum all in one. This reality was protected. The response came in a way no one expected. The approaching distortion suddenly stabilized, forming into something almost comprehensible, a vast structure of impossible angles and non-Euclidean geometry. Within it, patterns shifted that might have been language. They're asking why we resist the optimization of our spacetime. Dr. Wright translated, her quantum sensors interpreting the patterns. They don't see themselves as invaders. They think they're upgrading our reality. Send them our response, Chen ordered. Show them what happened to the colonies they optimized. Through the quantum network, images were transmitted of worlds twisted into impossible shapes, of entire populations transformed into things that no longer fit any known definition of life. The message was clear. Humanity and the Coalition would not accept such a fate. The Void Architect's response was immediate and violent. The quantum distortions intensified, reality itself beginning to crack around the fleet. But humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment. As space itself seemed to warp and twist, The human ships moved in perfect coordination with their coalition allies, their quantum stabilizers creating a web of normal spacetime that could not be broken. All ships, Commander Patil announced, his voice calm despite the chaos unfolding around them. Prepare to execute Operation Lightbringer. We're about to show the Void Architects that they're not the only ones who can rewrite the rules of reality. The battle for the very nature of spacetime was about to begin, and humanity was ready to prove that 3 centuries of preparation hadn't been wasted. The question was, would it be enough to stop an enemy that could bend reality itself to its will? Operation Lightbringer began with a pulse that rippled through the fabric of spacetime itself. The human fleet moved in perfect synchronization, their reality anchor ships forming a precise geometric pattern. Coalition vessels filled the gaps between them, their newly installed quantum stabilizers harmonizing with the human technology to create something unprecedented. A unified field of stable spacetime large enough to challenge the Void Architects directly. Reality anchor ships, full power to projection arrays. Commander Patel ordered. Coalition vessels, maintain your positions and prepare for temporal shear. The Hyperion shuddered as it channeled more power than any human vessel had ever attempted to harness. Around it, space itself began to glow with a light that shouldn't exist, as human technology forced the universe to follow their rules rather than the alien physics of the Void Architects. They're responding, Dr. Wright called out, her displays showing cascading patterns of quantum disruption. Multiple breach attempts detected. They're trying to find weak points in our formation. The Void Architects' attack was like nothing any living being had witnessed. Reality itself seemed to fold and unfold around their fleet, dimensions twisting in ways that threatened to drive observers mad. But where these reality warping effects met the quantum stabilization field, they simply stopped. It's working, Dr. Morrison announced, his voice filled with wonder. The containment field is holding. We're actually pushing them back. But the Void Architects hadn't spent eons reshaping spacetime to be defeated so easily. The impossible geometries of their forms began to shift, adapting to the humans' defense. New patterns emerge, more complex and deadly than anything humanity had simulated. Multiple ships reporting quantum field fluctuations. RIA warned, the enemy is learning, adapting their attack patterns faster than predicted. Ambassador Chen turned to Admiral Vexteri. This is where we need the coalition. Our ships can hold the line, but we need your people to exploit the weaknesses we create. The Admiral nodded, immediately understanding. While human ships maintained the quantum stabilization field, coalition vessels could maneuver through the protected space they created, attacking the Void Architects at their most vulnerable points. All coalition ships, Vexteri commanded, execute attack pattern Epsilon. Target the stress points in their dimensional structure. Fire everything you have. The battle that followed defied conventional description. Coalition weapons, enhanced by human quantum technology, struck at the very fabric of the Void Architect's existence. Where reality warping effects met focused quantum stabilization fields, space itself seemed to scream. We're winning, General Santos observed, watching as the Void Architects' attempts to reshape space became increasingly erratic. But they're getting desperate. Dr. Wright, what are these new readings? The quantum physicist's face paled as she analyzed the data. They're trying to initiate a total dimensional collapse. If they can't reshape this space, they're going to try to destroy it completely. No, Ambassador Chen said firmly. We didn't hide for 3 centuries to watch everything end now. Ariah, activate the Prometheus Protocol. Ambassador, Ariah's voice held a note of concern. The Prometheus Protocol was never tested at full scale. The energy requirements alone could burn out every ship in the fleet. We don't have a choice, Chen replied. Humanity didn't just prepare to defend reality. We prepared to reshape it ourselves. It's time to show the Void Architects they're not the only ones who can change the rules. Throughout the fleet, new systems powered up, technology that represented the pinnacle of human achievement. The quantum stabilization fields began to pulse with a new pattern, not just maintaining normal spacetime, but actively reshaping it according to human designs. All ships, divert all power to your quantum stabilizers, Commander Patel ordered. Coalition vessels, fall back to safe positions. What we're about to do, space itself is going to change. The Hyperion led the charge, its massive form becoming a beacon of pure energy as it channeled power that could reshape reality itself. The human fleet moved as one, their ships forming new patterns that defied conventional geometry while remaining distinctly, defiantly human. Prometheus protocol at 50%. HFY announced. Dimensional restructuring beginning. All crews, brace for universal constant fluctuation. The Void Architects seemed to realize what was happening. Their forms twisted in what might have been panic as they found themselves caught in humanity's trap. The very forces they had used to reshape reality were being turned against them, but with a crucial difference. This reshaping was controlled, precise, and undeniably human in its execution. Prometheus protocol at full power, HFY declared. Initiating final sequence. What happened next was witnessed by every being in the fleet, yet each would describe it differently. Space itself seemed to crystallize around the Void Architects, trapping them in a framework of reality that they couldn't alter or escape. Their impossible geometries were forced into conformity with the laws of physics as humanity defined them. In the end, it wasn't a victory won through destruction, but through transformation. The Void Architects found themselves bound by the very forces they had once manipulated freely, their ability to reshape reality neutralized by human ingenuity and coalition determination. As the quantum distortions faded and normal space reasserted itself, Ambassador Chen turned to Admiral Vexteri with a tired smile. 3 centuries ago, humanity realized we couldn't defeat the Void Architects through conventional means. So we learned to speak their language, to understand their physics, and ultimately, to turn their own nature against them. And now, the Admiral asked, watching as the fleet began damage assessment and recovery operations. Now, Chen replied, looking out at the stars that once again followed the laws of physics that life had evolved to understand. Now humanity comes home. But we return to a galaxy that's different from the one we left. We return not as conquerors or saviors, but as partners. The Coalition proved today that together we can face any threat, even one that can rewrite reality itself. The Hyperion's bridge fell silent as the impact of their victory sank in. Humanity had not just survived, they had evolved, adapted, and overcome an enemy that had threatened the very nature of existence. And they had done it not alone, but alongside the very allies they had seemed to abandon centuries ago. HFY. Commander Patel called out, "Send word to the colony ships. Tell them it's safe to begin general revival procedures. It's time for humanity to wake up." As the message was sent, the combined fleet of humanity and the Coalition began the long process of recovering from the battle. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious, proving that sometimes the greatest achievements come not from running from terrifying challenges, but from taking the time to prepare to face them on your own terms. The stars shone steadily in space that once again made sense, witnesses to the day when humanity returned from exile to save not just themselves, but all of reality itself.